Starting off our list today at number 10, we have The Affair. August Alsina and Jada Pinkett Smith would shock the world and embarrass Will Smith in the process after August sat down for a bombshell interview, and in the interview he would reveal that he did in fact have an affair with Jada Pinkett Smith in 2015 when he made an appearance on The Breakfast Club. In the interview, August would tell Angela Yee, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation of their marriage to life partnership. He gave me his blessing," keyword, gave me his blessing. While August went on to insist that he hadn't done anything wrong and that there was nothing for him to be ashamed of because he loved the Smiths, and he also would reveal that he completely gave himself to the relationship as he was really in love with Jada. But while the relationship might have occurred with honesty and communication, Will would be blindsided not only by the affair but everything August was saying about it in the process, and he would be humiliated by Jada. Number 9. Her birthday. The day after Jada Pinkett Smith's 37th birthday, Will Smith knew he wanted to do something so huge for his wife's 40th birthday party that he took 3 years to plan the big day so he could have everything right. While most girls would swoon over the gesture, as let's face it, we live in a sad reality where everybody has to buy themselves flowers because guys just won't do it for us, Jada would be less than pleased with her husband, and the embarrassment would be so bad it would cause Will to hit a low point in his marriage. With Will hiring an orchestra and a documentary team to trace his wife's roots, when the big day finally came, Jada would lose her cool and tell Will to cancel their plans for the next day, as Will would reveal, "She's like, it's my birthday. She told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego." Crushed, right? To this day, I know I was crushed because it was true. It wasn't a party for her. And when she called me out on that, that's when I snapped. But I think we can all agree Jada definitely overreacted to make her husband feel bad for treating her like a queen. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what we might just cover next. Number 8. Bad parenting conversation. When it comes to Jada's and Will's parenting skills, Jada will stop at nothing to throw Will under the bus for just having a different opinion altogether, with Jada always being extremely open and vulnerable during her hit Facebook watch series Red Table Talk. When she brought her son Jaden and her daughter Willow and her mom on the show, during the conversation, Willow and Jaden would open up about being raised by Will and Jada. And they even went on to share some of their issues they had to deal with because they grew up in a famous family. After Willow opened up about how she found it difficult to connect with her parents as she felt like their values were the opposite of what she needed at the time, Jaden would also note that he went through similar problems. Jada would then switch the light from her to Will when she said their point of view and parenting skills were different because they were both raised differently, and she herself started to call Will out on his parenting skills instead of admitting her faults and promising that she would work on them. Number 7. Brought herself to the Red Table Talk. If the affair couldn't get any more embarrassing for Will, the aftermath would have him screaming in embarrassment after Jada admitted that there was some healing that needed to take place and tweeted that she would be the subject of her next Red Table Talk. She would then force Will to make an appearance on the episode where he would share his side of the story and how he found peace through all the pain. Although Jada confirms that she had an affair with August, Jada and Will would then confirm that they were temporarily separated when everything occurred, and how she reunited with Will as soon as August was out of the picture because she knew she just couldn't stay away from Will. With the clip soon becoming a viral sensation due to Jada repeating the word entanglement rather than affair, it became an online target for jokes, as it would show a picture of Will in tears before she forced Will to deny that he even cried in the first place. Number 6. Her feelings for Tupac. When it comes to Jada's relationship with Tupac, no one really knows what exactly went on with the two, and for the longest time it caused Will to feel like he was being tortured by their relationship. Back in 2021, Will would sit down with Oprah Winfrey to discuss his new memoir ahead of its release, and in it he would admit to having a feeling that he has let down every woman he has ever been with. When the memoir was released, the world would then come to know pretty much everything about Will's and Jada's relationship and how he was raging in jealousy when it came to Jada's connection with Tupac. As in the beginning, Jada made him feel like he was nothing when it came to Pac, and it made Will feel embarrassed, and he was so triggered by Jada's feelings that it made him view himself as being a coward, as he hated that he wasn't Pac. Even when when Jada ended up choosing Will over Tupac, she would still continue to judge Will and make him live up to her standards, as she went on to reveal that she would always be in love with Tupac and no one would ever change that. Even today she still shares poems that Tupac wrote to her, and you can just tell their relationship was bigger than just being friends like she's previously claimed. Number 5. Wishes they were swingers. For a while now, Jada Pinkett Smith has been turning her relationship into one giant joke, to the point when we saw a clip resurface of her talking about the craziest things people thought about her and Will had all of our jaws dropping to the floor. Back in 2017, Jada made an appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. And while talking to Andy, a fan in the audience would ask the actor, what is the craziest rumor you've ever heard about your family, to which Jada obviously responded without missing a beat by saying that Will and I are swingers. That's the craziest one. It's constant. Then instead of just laughing off the situation, she then went on to tell the fan, and I'm like, yo, I wish, before repeating, I wish louder so she could add some emphasis to it. It's clear that Jada has never believed in a conventional marriage, and in the process to get the relationship she wanted, she has manipulated Will into agreeing to having an unconventional one so she could get with anyone she's ever wanted to get with. Number 4. Intimacy issues. Back in 2021, Jada would do everything but escaping the spotlight when she took to her Red Table talk show to discuss her and Will's intimacy issues when she invited Gwyneth Paltrow on the show. When Gwyneth revealed that she was having the best intimate moments of her life when she was a newlywed, Jada made a stark comparison in light of her own relationship with Will. And she pretty much stated that since her and Will got together at a very young age, the accountability part of the relationship hit her the most, because she just expected Will to know everything she needed, and if he loved her, like really loved her, he should have been able to read her mind. It got to the point Jada was so flustered she even had to tell Will, tell me what you need, tell me what you want, and on top of it, I know that I have to be accountable to do the same. When Jada then went on to shade their intimacy level, it made us all realize that she never really loved Will, and she probably never will love Will, and it's more like she uses him now for his name as clickbait so she can draw in views to her show. Number 3. The prenup. If you thought the embarrassment of Will just started now, then you may want to think again, as this dates all the way back to the 90s. When they first started seeing each other. After an unearthed interview from 1997 started to circulate online, we all started to realize that there was a lot of red flags when it came to Jada's and Will's relationship. Starting for when she sat down with the Chicago Times for Jet magazine and she discussed her upcoming wedding with Will and said that he declined to sign a prenuptial agreement despite her insisting that she would sign anything. Jada then went on to tell the outlet, someone actually had the nerve to ask me if I'm signing a prenup agreement. The actress then found the overall question humorous before she went on to call her then husband to be very generous. Jada then went on to say, I had to laugh because Will is a very generous guy and we love each other. Actually, I've told you, you can make up any prenuptial agreement you and your accountant want. But gloating about how you pretty much convinced your husband if you were to leave, you could pretty much take anything isn't exactly wife material. Am I right or am I wrong? Number 2. Forcing Will to be on IG Live. After the Chris Rock incident, a lot of people have gone on to reevaluate certain publicized moments of Will Smith's marriage. And there has been a lot of WTF moments. And one of these moments actually is a clip where Jada can be seen going live on Instagram sometime around 2019. And in the video, she begins by talking about her and Will's marriage counselor, and suddenly she turns the camera to Will to get his opinion. Things then got really awkward after she pointed the phone at him and asked him, what you say that she has been instrumental in you, and I'm redefining our relationship. At the point, Will could then be seen looking incredibly uncomfortable with his wife, to the point he calmly responded to her by saying, I would say just don't start filming without asking me if you could. Jada then kept trying to record her video in order to get a response out of him, to the point Will just had to turn away from the camera and plead with his wife to stop. This was no doubt a pretty embarrassing moment for Will, and it made us wonder why she just couldn't keep this conversation in a room with the couple's therapist. And coming in at number 1 today, we have the marriage. One thing about Jada's Red Table talk show is that she never misses an opportunity to embarrass her husband. Just after Will and Jada became the talk of the town due to Will's infamous Chris Rock slap at the Oscar ceremony in 2022, a video would resurface from Jada's show, and in it, the actor would admit that she really did not want to get married to Will Smith and that the couple had struggled a lot to get to where they are today. In an episode, Jada would recall recall how she cried walking down the aisle as she tied the knot with her husband, and that the wedding day only ever happened in the first place is because she got pregnant with the couple's first child, Jaden. Will also added that the couple only got married because Jada's mom forced them to tie the knot. Jada then revealed that she really did not want to get married, and she cried for a whole night after she realized that her life was going to change and not be the same after she became a mother. But I mean, how do you claim someone forced you to do something when you're a grown adult and you make your own decisions? Coming in at number 10, we have The Affair. The world was completely shocked when R&B singer August Alsina came forward to admit that he has had an affair with Jada Pinkett Smith in 2015. What was even more shocking is that when August sat down with The Breakfast Club for an interview with Angela Yee, he would say, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership. He gave me his blessing." August then went on to insist that he hasn't done anything to be ashamed of and that he loved the Smiths, before saying, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly, really deeply love and have a ton of love for her. I devoted myself to it." Then many people started to claim that Jada has taken advantage of August since he was in a vulnerable time in his life, as the singer was only 22 and he was struggling with his health due to an autoimmune condition that left him hospitalized on multiple occasions. One inside source would even also reveal to Page 6 that when Jada said she was mentoring August through it all, she was only really destroying him. Number 9. The forced open marriage. The Smiths have received a lot of scrutiny when it comes to their marriage, especially in 2009. Jada Pinkett Smith went on to address all the rumors that surrounded it. In an interview with Atlanta Q100, Jada would say, "I've heard all the things from their marriage is not real. He's gay, she's gay, they swing." She then went on to prove that the couple has nothing to prove when it comes to the relationship, and she also went on to tell HuffPost in 2013 that she and Will had no claim over each other's lives, and she also told Will that he could do whatever he wanted as long as he was able to look at himself in the mirror and be okay. In recent years, the pair has still continued to admit that they like to take an unconventional approach when it comes to their marriage, but for the most part, it seems like this is Jada's doing, as she wants to mess around with other people, and Will doesn't want to lose her, so he sits back and lets his marriage crumble in the process. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have Forced into a Cult. Although Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have insisted they aren't Scientologists, it's kind of hard to believe anything they say when it comes to not being involved with the controversial religion for years. As a former ex-Scientologist member, Lee once told the Daily Beast back in 2017, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." Lee then went on to point out that Jada even forced her husband Will to allow her to open a school in one of their homes that was based on Scientology, and she even forced her own kids to go to that school before it shut down. With Jada opening the New Village Leadership Academy in 2008, the school only lasted about 5 years before it closed down. One of the academy's teaching staff even confirmed that they used L. Ron Hubbard's books and Scientology-affiliated study technology, and there's posters of him all around the school as well. Later, Lee even appeared on the Red Table Talk alongside Jada in 2018, where Jada said, "You're gonna learn all the religions, and then you gotta decide which one you want to practice. I always took the position I'm here at the Scientology Center to learn what I want to learn, and I had no interest in being a Scientologist." Number 7. The controversial photo. Back when Willow Smith was only 13 years old, a controversial photo of Willow began to spread across social media as she was shown lying on a bed next to then 20-year-old actor and photographer Moses Arias. While she was shirtless, many people then started to voice their concern about the photo, as they thought it was wildly inappropriate, especially considering Willow was very much underage and hanging out with someone who wasn't. Children's Services and then the police got involved, and Jada would then come to her daughter's defense by supporting the photo after she said that TMZ was blowing the photo way out of proportion. Jada would then go on to say, "There's nothing sexual about that picture or the situation. You guys are projecting your trash onto it and you're acting like cover pedophiles. That's not cool." To make matters even worse, there were also people who started to agree with Jada. However, this whole situation was just really creepy, you have to admit that. Number 6. The Oscars. Although the 94th Academy Award should have been a memorable moment for Will Smith, he ended up making Oscar history for all the wrong reasons. Instead of the media talking about his talent and incredible win, Will sparked major controversy after he took to the stage to slap Chris Rock over the joke joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's balding head, with Chris comparing Jada to G.I. Jane due to her shaved head, while Will first went on to laugh at the joke when his wife rolled her eyes and gave him hell for it. He took matters into his own hands and defended his wife like she wanted. Now, Jada has been open about her struggles with alopecia to the point that she told her followers on Instagram in a video early in 2022 that all she could do was laugh when it came to the fact that she had a bald head. So the joke definitely came across a little too close to home, especially since in the past he already threw shots at the actress during the 2016 Oscars. Although she did end up saying that she didn't make him do it, she sure did have the power to stop him from leaving his seat in the first place. Number 5. Her love for Tupac. Jada Pinkett Smith and Tupac both met at Baltimore School of Arts in Maryland in the late 1980s, and they became close friends. And in the past, Jada has tried to say that the two weren't involved romantically, but we all know that's a lie. And almost a month after Will Smith and Chris Rock's altercation, an interview with Jada and Tupac's friend started to resurface on the internet, and in the interview, Tupac's friend would state that Tupac had a lot of love and lots of respect for Jada. However, they then went on to claim that there was this time where he witnessed Tupac become extremely upset by something Jada said to him. When they went on to say, the second time I have probably heard him talk about her is when he went to LA. He was very upset, you know what I mean? Pop came out of the room and was like, Jada had gone contact me and tell me don't do nothing with Will Smith. Over the years, it seems like Jada has never been shy to share her love that she had for Tupac. As for what would have been his 50th birthday party, she went on to share a never before seen poem that he gave her, and it's clear at the end of the day she still loves him, and that's probably why she causes Will so much problems. Number 4. The forced marriage. Not only has Jada gone on to roast Will Smith for his actions, but she's also shared in an episode on the Red Table Talk in 2018 that she cried while walking down the aisle on her wedding day because she never wanted to be married. In the video, Jada could be seen talking about her wedding day with Will Smith, and in it, she confessed that she did not want to be married, and she only ended up doing it because her mother forced her to get married because she got pregnant with Jaden while the two were still dating. The actress then went on to say, it's almost as if Gammy was like, you're going to have to get married, so let's talk about the wedding. I was under so much pressure, you know, being a young actress, and I was like pregnant. I was just like, I didn't know what to do, but I just knew. I was like, I never wanted to be married. She then went on to describe how horrible her wedding actually was, but how can you sit here and tell a man that you never wanted to get married to him and that your mom made you do it, as you control your own actions by this time in your life, not your mother. Number 3. Treated like a peasant. Did you know that Will Smith once took 3 years to plan a super extravagant birthday party for Jada's 40th birthday? And instead of appreciating the thought and the gesture that he took, she was less than pleased about her husband's gift. When Will was super happy about all the hard work he put in trying to make it the best gift for Jada, she was underwhelmed and lashed out at Will to the point it made him hit a low point in his life. Will went to great lengths when he planned Jada's birthday, and he even hired an orchestra and a documentary team to trace Jada's family roots. While most people would appreciate the gesture, Jada would claim that the whole thing was actually just a party that showed off Will's ego. And while Will continued to go on to treat his wife like a queen that night, she just went on to show him that he was just a peasant. That's just really sad. Number 2. She's salty. In an episode on the Red Table Talk, Jada would bring up how she's gotten hostile towards other women who have been disrespectful to her about Will Smith in their marriage. When Willow asked her mother about how she felt about the groupies around her dad, Jada would respond by saying, I really didn't. I know I was deterrent. Later on in an interview, she also went on to note that there was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile, where I felt like people stepped over a boundary and they were disrespectful. I know who I am, and more importantly, he knows who I am, right? It's clear Jada doesn't like other women trying to talk to Will, but yet she can have an affair on her husband and then go on to justify her actions over that said affair. Makes sense. And coming at number 1 today, we have Margot Robbie. Although Jada and Will have been married since 1997, it's clear she doesn't think her marriage is really strong, as she believes Margot Robbie could sweep in at any moment and steal her husband. Even though the couple is in an open marriage, Jada has defended her husband's public comments and appreciation for Margot in 2015, but those said comments have quickly become forgotten, as Jada once made a comment about how she harbors a racial bias towards white women with blonde hair, as they just seem to trigger her. Although she tried to claim that this was because she was bullied by blonde girls in school, it's clear that her comment was an indirect reference to her hostility towards Margot, as apparently Will acts like he's an unmarried man when he's around her. Now, it's clear Margot and Will now both have chemistry, just watch the movies they're in together. And they're definitely a couple people want to see get together. And this scares Jada to the point she won't stop causing trouble for Will.
At number 10, the slap. Regardless of how people saw him before, at the 2022 Oscars, we got to see a side of Smith that we normally don't, and it was not a good side for him to show off. By now, I think we all know exactly what happened at the award show last year. Host of the show Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith looking like G.I. Jane due to her being bald. After making the joke, most of the audience, including Will, laughed, but Jada rolled her eyes, kicking Smith's protective mode into gear. Next thing viewers know, Smith is up and storming the stage, slapping an unsuspecting Rock right in the face. Then Smith returned to his seat and yelled, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. Rock was visibly shaken by Smith's reaction, as was everyone watching, but he laughed it off and kept going. Of course, the actor's actions did not come without consequences. Smith is now banned from attending the Oscars for a decade, and he resigned from the Academy. Smith could still win an Oscar, but he won't be able to accept the award himself. Truly an unforgettable moment at the award show, and truly a bad look for the actor. Number 9, sharing marriage problems. Will married Jada Pinkett Smith back in 1997, and over the years their relationship seems to have been on public display. There have been plenty of rumors of both parties being unfaithful at one point in their marriage or another, but in 2020 they were forced to clear things up. In July, singer August Alsina revealed in an interview on The Breakfast Club and alleged that he had a relationship with Jada a few years ago with Will Smith's blessing. He said, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation. Due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership that they have spoken about several times and not involving romanticism, he gave me his blessing." The singer also admitted to giving himself to the relationship for years of his life, confessing to have really deeply loved her. Initially, Jada denied the claims that they had been together, as she would be admitting to cheating on her marriage. After denying it, they did a red table talk where they explained that they had actually separated. Jada referred to the relationship as an entanglement, and this episode is also when they revealed they were in an open relationship, clearing things up to hopefully prevent future rumors. At number 8, Margot Robbie rumors. In 2013, rumors began to go around that Will Smith had an affair with his Focus co-star Margot Robbie. At the time, neither Will nor his wife Jada had talked about being in an open relationship, so as soon as people had a hunch that the co-stars were getting flirty, the rumor mill was working overtime. They started after the two posed for a photograph, lifting up their shirts pretending to flash the camera. The photos appeared to be goofy and flirty, and people were suspicious. Robbie also made a comment about the actor's breath, aka when they had to kiss, saying he's got really lovely breath spray, also leading fans to thinking she was being flirty. Of course, Robbie and Smith denied the rumors, but people weren't convinced, especially seeing how it seemingly took a toll on Jada and their marriage. Apparently at the time, Jada was insecure about their flirty relationship, and this is what kick-started trouble in their relationship. Later, during a red table talk, Jada seemingly confirmed people's theories when she revealed that she harbored a racial bias towards white women with blonde hair. She said, "I have to admit I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me." She claimed it was due to being bullied by girls like that in school, but people prefer to believe that she was talking about Robbie. At number 7, no punishment. The Smiths have always had a non-traditional parenting style which has raised eyebrows over the years, but in 2013 they faced some backlash. Smith revealed that he and Jada didn't believe in punishing their children, Willow and Jaden. Speaking with Metro UK, he said, "We don't do punishment. The way that we deal with our kids is they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible, and the concept of punishment, our experience has been, it has a little too much of a negative quality." Smith also said that they treat their children like equals, saying, "We respect our children the way we would respect any other person." Things like cleaning up their room. You would never tell a full-grown adult to clean their room, so we don't tell our kids to clean their rooms. Others might see their respect for their children as being a little too lenient and maybe lacking in teaching the children discipline, including Jada's mother, Adrian. During a red table talk in 2018, she admitted that she thinks Jada and Will give their children too much freedom, telling her grandchildren that they had too much say in their own lives. At number 6, After Earth. One of the actor's self-admitted biggest mistakes for his career was doing the movie After Earth with his son Jaden. People were excited for the movie to come out in 2013, as this would have been the first time that we would be seeing the father-son duo share the screen since The Pursuit of Happiness. Unfortunately, it did not end up being received quite the same. In his memoir Will, he wrote, "After Earth was an abysmal box office and critical failure, and what's worse is that Jaden took the hit. Apparently the press was vicious towards Jaden, and Smith wrote, I'd coached him into the worst public mauling he'd ever experienced. So not only was the movie a big failure, it also led people to think the reason for that was none other than Jaden himself." Smith also talked about how he could tell his son felt betrayed and lost his trust in leadership. At 15, Jaden even brought up becoming an emancipated minor, which Smith says, "When Jaden asked about being an emancipated minor, my heart shattered. He ultimately decided against it, but it sucked to feel like you've hurt your kids." The movie ended up receiving an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, and critics tore the movie to shreds, making it one of the worst reviewed Will Smith movies to date. At number 5, Aunt Viv drama. Will Smith previously had a bit of a feud with his Fresh Prince of Bel-Air co-star Janet Hubert, who played Aunt Viv originally on the show. At the end of season 3, her character was taken over by Daphne Maxwell Reid. Following her departure, Smith gave the reason that she was difficult to work with, but there was more to the story. Truth is that Hubert had been pregnant and experiencing trouble at home while also dealing with a young Smith who, according to her, had an issue with her not kissing up to him. To top it off, Hubert claimed that her salary was cut, forcing her to leave. When she did, Smith said in an interview, "I can straight up say that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show. She's basically gone from $250,000 a year to nothing." When asked about a reunion, Hubert said, "The reunion thing will never happen in my lifetime unless there is an apology," which he doesn't know the word. Eventually though, they did sit down with her explaining, "I lost everything. Reputation is everything. Calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death." In the end, Smith was apologetic, but being young with money and fame like he had ended up being a dangerous combination. At number 4, Scientology rumors. Both Will and Jada Smith are believed to be connected to Scientology. In 2011, Smith told Men's Vogue, "I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism, and I've studied Scientology through Tom Cruise, and nobody's saying anything different." These comments earned him a good deal of backlash, especially after he claimed that 98% of the principles are identical to the principles of the Bible. In late 2018, he said that they have never been Scientologists during a Red Table Talk, but that they have also been tied to a school which was a front for teaching Scientology. The New Village Leadership Academy started as a homeschooling operation in one of the Smiths' vacant mansions in 2007. Between 20 and 30 children were educated inside Will and Jada's home before they opened a school on the nearby campus of Indian Hills High School. In an interview with The Sun, Associate Dean and Engineering Professor from California State, Dr. Jawad, who was also a guest robotics lecturer at NVLA for 2 years, claimed that the teachers at Smith's school were put under pressure to include Scientology education models in their classroom. Jawad also claimed that many of the full-time staff were openly members of the church. He said Will and Jada may have denied it, but there was definitely a drastic tilt towards Scientology in that school. At number 3, lost it on a reporter. Back in 2012, Smith made headlines for slapping Ukrainian reporter Vitaly Siduk in the face. Smith was at the Men in Black 3 premiere in Moscow. In the video clip of the altercation, you can see Smith standing and answering questions to a crowd of reporters and cameras. When the actor's time is up with Siduk, he goes in for a hug, which Will enthusiastically accepts. Then the reporter, who is also known to be a prankster, did something that honestly has a good chance of getting you slapped most of the time. Siduk kissed Smith's cheek, then he went for another, and if Smith hadn't turned his head, I think he would have landed the second kiss on Smith's lips. Now, of course, kissing someone without their consent is not okay, but Smith decided to hit him. Initially, Smith pushed the reporter off of him, followed by asking him, "What the hell is your problem, buddy?" This is the point where it would make sense for the actor to just walk away and have someone remove the touchy reporter, but instead, Smith steps back to Siduk and slaps him on the cheek with the back of his hand. The reporter was definitely not right for what he did, but Smith also showed that in response to a problem, he's not afraid to lay his hands on someone. At number 2, leaving the Academy. When it comes to who wins at the Academy Awards, all the decisions are left up to the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences. The Academy's corporate management and general policies are overseen by a board of governors, which includes representatives from each of the craft branches. To become a member, it's not just a simple application, there are lots of requirements and rules before you can be considered. Of course, with his long career, Smith had finally made his way to be able to be a part of the Academy and had the power to vote for Oscar winners. Unfortunately, he threw the honor away last year after slapping Chris Rock in the face live on stage at the actual award show. Not the best look for anyone, but especially a respected Academy member. Of course, following the event, he received a hefty ban on attending the show, but along with that, he resigned as a member. He said, "I betrayed the trust of the Academy, so I'm resigning from membership in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and will will accept any further consequences that the board deems appropriate. Losing his invite to the event and his voting privileges in one night was not good to his career. And at number 1, trouble with the law. The actor was arrested back in 1989 over an alleged vicious attack that took place in Philadelphia. According to the report, Smith, who was 20 at the time, was arguing with a man, which became physical, resulting in the man almost losing his sight in one eye. The man was record promoter William Hendrix, and it went down days before Smith received his first Grammy. When all was said and done, Hendrix was left needing 6 stitches after fracturing his left eye orbit in the fight. At the time, sources told the National Enquirer that Will had to spend the night in the cell at the West Philadelphia police station, with other inmates waking him up all night to ask for an autograph. I know a lot of people are young and dumb and make mistakes, but it's clear that Smith has been turning to violence as the solution for his anger for a long time. The slap may have been the first time he hit another person live on TV, but it's definitely not the first time he got in trouble for hitting a person. At the time of his arrest, he faced charges for aggravated attack, criminal conspiracy, and recklessly endangering another person. In the end, the charges were later dismissed, but charged or not, he still used violence as a solution.
Coming at number 10 today, we have the Oscars. The incident that occurred between Chris Rock and Will Smith has become known as the Slapgate that took place during the 94th Academy Awards on March 27, 2022. And it has become a moment that has gone down in history as a night full of mementos, wins, and controversy in equal measure. While the night was supposed to be filled with glamour and applause, the prestigious awards ceremony was plunged into chaos when a Hollywood actor decided to take the stage and smack comedian Chris Rock following a joke Chris made about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and her balding head. Despite initially laughing at Rock's joke, Will Smith would then shock attendees and views alike when he walked onto the stage at the Oscars and displayed a baffling incident that even had Chris Rock say, "Wow, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me," to which Smith would then respond from his seat by shouting, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice at the comedian. Shortly after the incident came, Smith was then announced as the winner of the 2022 Best Actor Award for his lead role in King Richard. Upon receiving the award, which was his first ever Oscar win, Smith would apologize to the Academy and the fellow nominees for his reaction, but he did not apologize to Rock till later. Number 9. Jada Pinkett Smith. It seems like Jada Pinkett Smith just can't stop embarrassing her husband, Will Smith, and while the actress continues to do everything she can to ruin her husband's image, all of us are left to question what type of game she's playing, from her stating that she wished her and her husband were swingers, forcing Will to be on Instagram live videos, talking about her and Will's intimacy issues, mocking a party Will threw, and talking about her feelings for Tupac, letting the world know about her relationship with another man, and even bringing Will on the Red Table Talk podcast to address the relationship. And not to mention, after the infamous Oscar incident, she even declared that her mom forced her to get married to Will and that she never wanted to do it. Seems like Jada just wants to humiliate Will, and it makes us question why she's doing it and why Will is still with her. While it seems all of Will's drama revolves around his wife, if he wants to get his foot back into Hollywood at some point, he really needs to make the tough decision and split from her, because his career is just in this downward spiral due to her odd actions. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Margot Robbie. In November 2013, Will was rumored to be hooking up with Margot Robbie on set of their film Focus, after photos were leaked of the pair joking around and fake flashing the camera in a photo booth. While the rumors were quickly put to rest after a source told E! News that Robbie and Smith were absolutely just friends, that's all. The picture that Will and Margot took were commissioned by the production, and the entire cast and crew saw them taken. While the rumors continued to circulate in the years to follow, Margot even seemed to hint at the rumors of her and Smith and set the record straight about her dating life when she revealed that she had sworn off dating fellow actors and preferred dating someone who wasn't known in Hollywood. But did she just swear off dating fellow actors because she had an affair and really wanted Will to be with her instead of Jada? However, it's pretty disappointing that goofing around on set can be taken so out of context to the point Hollywood tried to damage Will Smith's perfect guy image. Number 7. Resignation from the Academy. When Will Smith announced in a statement that he would be resigning from the Academy after his infamous incident with Chris Rock, this wouldn't make his troubles go away. While Will's resignation did come with an apology, it wouldn't stop the Academy's investigation of his conduct. While Rock would go on not to press charges against Will, he would start a lawsuit against Smith, the showrunners, and the security in control of the event for not ensuring the environment was safe. While many Oscar guests are still troubled by the standing ovation Will received after his tearful acceptance speech for his role in King Richard, the resignation could hurt his future in Hollywood. While it doesn't mean that he won't be able to be invited to future award ceremonies or that he can't be nominated for future awards, he will no longer be a voting member of the Academy, which could pose a problem in the future with the actor. Number 6. Will versus Aunt Viv. Do you remember Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and how she mysteriously vanished from the show at the end of season 3 in 1993? Well, in an interview with Atlanta radio station in 1993, Will Smith would publicly go after Janet Hubert and say, "I can't say straight up that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be Aunt Viv of Bel-Air because I know she is going to dog me in the press. She's basically gone from $250,000 a year to nothing. She's mad now, but she's been mad all along." She said once, "I've been in the business for 10 years and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets a show. No matter what to her, I'm just an antichrist." However, later Janet would then criticize the show and express her dislikes for Will in interviews as their public feud played out. She even swore that she would never appear in a reunion episode, and according to TMZ, she said, "As I will never have done anything with an a-hole like Will Smith. He's an egomaniac and he has not grown up. This consistent reunion thing will never happen in my lifetime unless there is an apology," which he doesn't know the word. Number 5. The entanglement. When musician August Alsina brought the Smiths' relationship into the spotlight back in July of 2020, he would reveal that he had been romantically involved with Jada Pinkett Smith, and then August claimed that Will Smith knew about the relationship and even gave the two his blessing. The whole situation would just be really weird because at first Jada tried to deny August's claims and that they were even in a relationship, and then she did this whole 180 thing and eventually confessed to being in an entanglement with August, and then claimed that it was because of her and Will had separated that she decided to go separate ways for a period of time and figure out what she was doing, and she even told Will how to figure out how to make himself happy so she could figure out how to make herself happy. And while Jada originally decided she wasn't going to talk about the issue, she then forced Will onto her Red Table Talk show so they could discuss their marriage and relationship, and she would explain what she did and why she did it, and Will just had to sit there and accept what he was being told. And even during the show, Jada said she really felt like their marriage was over, and that's why she did what she did. Number 4. The Scientology issue. While neither Will Smith or Jada Pinkett Smith have ever confirmed their religious affiliation with the Church of Scientology, the Smith family has long been rumored to be members of the controversial church. Back in May of 2011, the Men's Vogue magazine, Will would say, "I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism, and I've studied Scientology through Tom Cruise, and nobody is saying anything different." His comments would then go on to earn him a great deal of backlash, especially when he claimed that 98% of the Scientology principles were identical to the Bible. And in October 2018, however, the Bad Boy star would then declare during an appearance on his wife's Red Table Talk show alongside of Jada that his family has never been Scientologists, but there's just so much proof to prove otherwise. Number 3. Scientology School for Kids. In July of 2020, the Daily Beast would publish an interview with Lee Ramini, the ex-Scientologist turned whistleblower who alleged that Jada was a devoted practitioner of Scientology. In the interview, she would say, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will Smith there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." She would then reveal that Jada and Will even opened up a Scientology school and have since closed it, but Lee also confirmed that she saw Jada at the center all the time. The Daily Beast would then speak to 4 former teachers and administrators at the New Village Leadership Academy who would insist that the Scientology not only bled into every aspect of the school, but that it was essentially a Scientology school filled with mostly Scientologist teachers that taught students Scientology methods of learning. And apparently the academy began as a homeschool in one of the Smiths' unused residence in Indian Hills, California. It was also said that Will and Jada gathered 20 to 30 kids, including their own kids, Jaden and Willow, in their homes. And Will and Jada were also pictured speaking inside the school and at events. Number 2, boycotting fans. If you're one of those fans who doesn't feel quite ready to see Smith headline another movie, the actor says he respects your wishes. During the promotional lead up to the film Emancipation, which many expected to be an Oscar contender, however it was probably shut out because of Will's poor behavior at the last Oscars, Smith was asked about how he would respond to fans, and Will would go on to express nothing but respect to those who haven't yet forgiven him for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars by saying, "I completely understand if somebody is not ready. I would absolutely respect that and allow them their space to not be ready." Which honestly seems pretty fair for him to answer that, as we've all been getting a lot from this controversial star. While Will has expressed regret for what happened and concern for how his actions will impact his colleagues, it seems like the boycotting fans have taken a huge toll on his acting career, as he has now had films snubbed from the Academy Awards this year, and also many shows and movies have been cancelled over the last year, and he hasn't really been able to book any work as producers are scared that having him in a movie could result in negative impact, and no one really wants to deal with that situation as of right now. And it's pretty sad because Will Smith, in my opinion, is one of the best actors Hollywood has, and no one can play a lot of these roles better than he can. And coming in number 1 today, we have his open marriage. During an interview with GQ in September of 2021, Will Smith would reveal that he and his wife haven't always been in a monogamous relationship, and that Jada never believed in a conventional marriage. He would then also say Jada had family members that had an unconventional relationship, so she grew up in a way that was different than how he grew up. And he used this to try to justify their open relationship, which is a very controversial topic in Hollywood still to this day. He would then later hint that both parties have taken advantage of the trust and freedom in the relationship when he would say, "There were significant endless discussions about what is relational perfection. And a large part of the relationship monogamy was what we chose to not thinking monogamy as the only relational perfection. But does a healthy relationship mean you accommodate your wife's weird idea what a perfect relationship is?"
Number 10, his silence. Before Will's apology was posted on YouTube, fans thought it seemed kind of strange that the internet hasn't really heard anything from the actor in the 4 months since the incident took place. He did post on Instagram shortly after the Oscars night and said that violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. Quote, "My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable." He went on to say that jokes at his own expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for him to bear, and he reacted emotionally. He also admitted that slapping his longtime friend and comedian was way out of line and simply wrong. Although the apology seemed genuine at the time, not much has changed since then, and it seems like he's still trying to justify his actions in the post, when it was supposed to be an actual apology to Chris Rock. So not only was the timing off, but a lot of people are wondering what the second apology was for, if he was just going to stand by the argument he made in the first one. But to be fair, in the video, Will said he didn't immediately apologize to Rock in his Oscars acceptance speech because by that point he was fogged out and said everything was fuzzy. Number 9, Chris Rock's mother. If the internet wasn't fully convinced that Smith was in the wrong, they sure were when Chris Rock's mom opened up about how the incident broke her heart. Rosalie, who goes by Rose Rock, told her local news station about what she did when she saw the moment on live TV. Rose thought that the slap was staged until Will started using obscenities. Quote, "When he slapped Chris, he slapped all of us, because when you hurt my child, you hurt me." His mother also said that she would usually attend the Academy Award ceremony with her son. However, this year she decided to stay home. During her interview with WIS-TV, Rosalie also reacted to Smith's speech for Best Actor and said that no one had even heard his speech because no one was able to be in the moment, as everyone was just sitting there and stunned. As for whether or not she accepted Smith's apology to Chris, his mother said what what was on everyone's mind. Quote, "I feel really bad that he never apologized. I mean, his people wrote up a piece saying I apologize to Chris Rock. But you see something like that is personal, you reach out," which is exactly why the internet is not jumping to forgive him no matter how much time has passed. Number 8. Evaded criticism. Among all of the criticism that the actor has received, one that really seemed to stand out is people being upset with the format of the video apology. The ladies on The View really hit the nail on the head when they spoke about how disappointing it was to see Will Smith upload a 5-minute video addressing what is actually a really big issue, considering that it happened to Dave Chappelle too that same month. The hosts voiced their opinion about the Oscars slap and spoke about Smith's apology video not long after it had been released. While they unanimously agreed that it was a good first step, they still think that he needs to do more. Alyssa Farah Griffin summed it all up. Quote, "I think he's got to go further, and even the fact that he didn't do this in more of an interview format where he might get challenged with some tough questions, I was a little surprised by." She then went on to say that it's a lot easier to say something scripted to camera than to ask, "What was your motivation? Why didn't you then apologize in your acceptance speech?" Alyssa feels Smith should have sat down with Oprah because she would have challenged him. Joy Behar also agreed with her and thought that he should have come on The View instead. Number 7. Cancelled. It's no secret that several of Smith's projects have either been cancelled altogether or shelved in the fallout from the Oscars incident, and that's why people are quick to assume that he's only apologizing for damage control. His career really took a hit. For instance, Apple has already delayed the release of his film Emancipation to 2023, and Netflix has stepped away from Fast and Loose, a drama which was supposed to star Smith, and canned the sequel to his 2017 action film Bright. Sony has also reportedly paused production on Bad Boys 4, and This Joker has been cancelled as well, which was a stand-up comedy show hosted and executively produced by Smith. The series featured a raft of stand-ups including Punky Johnson and Chris Estrada, so it's no surprise that fans and even fellow celebrities believe his apology video is just another strategy to combat the wave of cancellations. For instance, American comedian Christopher Titus was among the many Twitter voices that condemned the apology as insincere and self-centered. Quote, "Chris said he'll contact you when he's ready. Why are you pushing him? You attacked a man on global broadcast. You don't get to pick the redemption schedule. And by doing it publicly, you made it about you again." Wow. Number 6. Comeback. Will is now making big moves in an effort to have something of a career comeback, which has suffered quite a bit due to him being cancelled. It's been revealed that Smith is planning to star in a sequel to one of his most iconic movies, I Am Legend. Speaking to The Sun, an industry insider revealed that Smith has been in talks to reprise his role in the 2007 original film, which was a complete box office hit, making almost $600 million. The script is still being written at the moment, and sources close to the project reveal that the concept is still to be signed off by Warner Brothers, but there has been no indication that Will has been kicked off. The insider added, quote, "The reality is that Will make a comeback at some point, and it will simply be down to which studio will be the one to take a chance on him," and added that Warner Brothers studios have not ruled out Smith returning to the movie franchise at all. So that's where his apology comes into play. A lot of people like Morgan Tremaine see it as a PR move and a way for the actor to slowly start rebuilding his reputation in Hollywood. Quote, "This Will Smith apology video has a PR team written all over it. They're testing the waters to see how the general public feels about him. Nothing to do with Chris." Gotta love that from Morgan Tremaine. Number 5. Jaden's tweet. The internet has been dunking on Jaden Smith since he was old enough to give interviews, but the 23-year-old really added a lot of fuel to the flame when he posted on social media backing his father for attacking Chris Rock. Right after the incident, Jaden came rushing to his father's defense, tweeting, "And that's how we do it," after the slap was broadcast all around the world. The rapper and actor also shared a photo of himself wearing sunglasses, looking dazed in the backseat of a car, with the caption, "My dad's speech made me cry." The photo got retweeted more than 42,000 times and was met with mostly negative responses from social media users, some alleging that the star was a hypocrite because earlier in the month he tweeted, "Praying for peace in the world." Some users mocked his tweet by using his own comments against him, saying that he should instead be talking about the political and and economic state of the world right now, which was pretty hilarious, but it goes to show you how much the internet is really starting to turn against the Smiths, because Jaden was not able to support his dad without being roasted on Twitter. Although he might have been trying to help, he was really just making the hate train worse. Number 4, still defending Jada. Viewers of the Oscars this year were left completely in shock when Will infamously walked up on stage and slapped Chris Rock across the face for making jokes about Jada. But what most people don't know is that the beef between the Smiths and Rock actually goes back several years, so the tension has always been there. Chris once took aim at Jada when he was hosting the 2016 Oscars because the couple had very publicly decided to boycott the event. At the time, their protest was due to the fact that no actors of color were nominated for the second year in a row. Chris said, quote, "Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited." The comedian also took a dig at Will and spoke about the actor's performance in his movie Concussion, saying that it's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated, then added it's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West. And while Smith does apologize in his new video, he still seems to reiterate the same point, that the reason he responded violently was because Rock's joke referenced the hair loss that Pinkett Smith suffered because of her alopecia. So many people just didn't believe that that was the reason that he had attacked Chris Rock. Number 3, the first slap. This is really bizarre, but after the slap incident at the Oscars, now another piece of information about Will has surfaced online. The old video started doing the rounds on social media, and fans were shocked to see that Will had slapped a reporter when he leaned in and tried to kiss the actor at the premiere of Men in Black 3 in Moscow in 2012. What happened exactly? Well, the actor was on the red carpet when the Ukrainian reporter approached him. Alleging that the reporter tried to kiss him on his mouth, Smith pushed him away before slapping him with the back of his hand. The reporter was a prankster named Vitaly Serdyuk, who was asking for a hug but got slapped instead as he went too close to the actor. After the Oscars incident, Serdyuk reacted by comparing the two moments with photos on Instagram. He captioned the post with, quote, "But Will Smith practiced on me first, only to perform his slap at the Oscars." Will later explained himself in an interview with David Letterman, who asked him why he beat up a guy who was trying to hug him. Quote, "I didn't beat up a guy," he says, "I'm your biggest fan, can I have a hug?" So I go in to give this joker a hug and he tries to lean in and kiss me. The old video started a fierce debate over whether or not Will is erratic and violent, or if other people would have reacted the same if they were in that situation. Number 2, various controversies. This year seems to be the pinnacle of controversy for the Smiths, and the public have lost a lot of trust in them as a result. There's so much there, like when Jada admitted to dating Will while he was still married to his now ex-wife Sheree Zampino, the family's alleged ties to Scientology, or the fact that they were investigated by CPS. But what really tops this list is when musician August Alsina brought the Smiths' relationship into the spotlight in July 2020, when he revealed that he was romantically involved with Pinkett Smith and that Will knew about it the whole time and had even given them his blessing. Though Jada initially denied the claims, she eventually confessed to being in an entanglement with August when she and her husband were separated. Quote, "We decided we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy," Smith said during an appearance on Red Table Talk in July 2020. They both went on the talk show together, and in a heartbreaking episode, Jada told Will how she came to be romantically involved with August, and how he made her feel special because of what was lacking in their relationship at the time. The clip went viral online, and for a lot of fans, the illusion of their perfect marriage was shattered in an instant, and they didn't appreciate being misled all these years. And number 1, product placement. Fans have alleged that Will has used his apology video to Chris Rock as a way to advertise his own products. When the actor took to YouTube last week to discuss his high-profile falling out with Chris at the Oscars earlier this year, he opened up about the aftermath of the incident and apologized to the comic for his actions. Quote, "I've reached out to Chris and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. There's no part of me that thinks that that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults." It was a nice message, but it's not the only thing that people noticed. Fans spotted a bottle of water placed on the table beside him throughout the video, but it wasn't a bottle of water from any famous brand, it was Just Water, which is incidentally his son's company. People on Twitter claim that this was a clear example of self-promotion rather than a real apology. One user wrote, "Will Smith advertising his own bottled water company during his apology video makes it entirely disingenuous." Or, my favorite part of the Will Smith apology video was the tactical just water placement. Still gotta get that paper even when apologizing. But some people thought that the apology was genuine and that he needed to help out his son's company whenever he can. Safe to say that the not so subtle advertising didn't go down well with fans.
At number 10, we have her forced marriage with Will Smith. Now, agree or disagree, but Jada herself has declared she got married unwillingly, and here's why. Much like everything else, Jada has openly discussed never wanting to initially marry Will, and because of this, a lot of people have made claims that Jada was wed under duress. However, Jada chalked it up to a far more reasonable explanation, and this was her being young and pregnant at the time. It's been stated how Jada's mother pushed her to tie the knot because she was fearful that Jada would never have the opportunity to get married if she didn't make that decision. Despite Jada's disapproval, the wedding still happened, and she never wanted a traditional marriage but had to compromise for Will's sake. She was going through various emotions at her 3-month term mark and even cried while going down the aisle because she was so angry with the idea of getting married. Not only was Jada against her marriage in general, she also disapproved of Will's luxurious lifestyle, and it's been detailed by sources that she was genuinely upset with Will when he bought their grand family home. If one didn't know any better, you could say their entire relationship seems forced at this point, but that's just a conspiracy theory and quite frankly, none of my business. At number 9, we have Jada being a huge attention seeker. Now this one is more of an observational theory rather than hard facts, but have you ever noticed how overly expressive she becomes when speaking about really personal things? Or how often she tries to shift the attention onto herself when it's really not about her? Well, maybe not, but according to multiple sources, this is exactly how Jada is, and they've used how she describes love to be one of their reasonings. Jada once said, the older she becomes, the more she's discovering what love truly is. Now there really isn't any harm in that statement, right? Maybe not. But it does say a lot about one's character when they've single-handedly used their deceased ex-lover and friend as a scapegoat for attention when they fall short. At least this is what those sources are saying about Jada, and that's putting it nicely. She's been described as somebody who drags Tupac's name through interviews at any given chance, where a lot of the times her late ex isn't even the topic of discussion, and Jada would just randomly mention him whenever she felt there was no spotlight on her. Again, this is more speculation, but why else would she continuously bring up someone she was close to who passed away? Wouldn't it hurt more to talk about them 24/7 rather than rarely or not at all? It's also been revealed that Jada got super pissed at Will at her 40th birthday party, which Will had been planning for 3 years prior. He had surprised her with a documentary he commissioned that chronicled her life. One would think this gesture of appreciation would work out in Will's favor, but it didn't. Jada and Will had it out after the party, and the incident was said to have popped off in their hotel when Will was reportedly shouted at and told that the event was one of the most disgusting displays of ego Jada had ever seen in her life. As a result, she and Will separated, as Will told her he was retiring from making her happy. I mean, that's one sure way to suck all the good vibes out of the room. At number 8, we have Jada's manipulation tactics. Now this is a big one, because of everything I looked into regarding Jada, the word manipulation came up a scary amount of times. Reasons why she's been referred to as such range from a multitude of things, many of which have to do with her husband. There's Jada's lack of reassurance to Will of her and Tupac's actual relationship at the time, to her claims that she and Tupac only kissed once and that there was nothing more there. But it was apparent Tupac had feelings for Jada. Yet Jada's own description of their relationship was quote weird. Jada no doubt strung Will along by being manipulative once she and Will started dating by casually trying to play off her situation with Tupac. In doing this, she had both their support and attention, hence the manipulation tactic. Jada used this excuse of not defining her relationship openly as an advantage for herself. With both of them by her side, the situation was manipulated to the point where no one could speculate any wrongdoing from her, while she still got what she wanted in the end. Some even say that Jada forced Will to transition to an open marriage down the road as another manipulation tactic for her being forced to marry him originally. At number 7, we have all the toxic energy which seems to surround Jada. I mean, seriously, get this girl some sage or something, because I'm positive many people will mutually agree with me. And the craziest part, there's lots of proof to back up the theory that Jada is just straight up toxic. One example is her IG post with her and Will's marriage counselor. Now there are a few things to get into from this one video, but to keep things short and sweet, Jada started rolling without even asking Will if he was ready. This raised a lot of concerns about how their marriage operates behind closed doors. Jada also called Will foolish and constantly made it seem as if his opinions were invalid during this. So despite many people thinking Jada is great, there are a whole lot more who feel she is one of the most toxic, foul Hollywood celebs out there, with good reason. There's also the accusation that Jada was behind Willow's letter to Tupac post, which randomly arose on Instagram and was deleted shortly after. The moral of the point here is that Jada knows she can do whatever she wants without repercussions, and Will always be by her side to fight. So she'll she'll never leave or actually change her ways, and to me, that's toxic AF. If you ask anybody, people say Jada's overall attitude towards Will is actually because he was never anything more to her than a rebound, but we'll get into that in just a minute. At number 6, we have Jada's responsibility for her polygamous marriage. Will and Jada are currently in what we call an open relationship, which basically just means they're free to see and be with whoever they please but can't leave each other. Will stepped forward to disclose multiple times that he and Jada's marriage for them cannot feel like a prison, and this stemmed from rumors of Jada engaging in an affair with her Hawthorne castmate Mark Anthony, who was married to Jennifer Lopez at the time of their then unconfirmed incident. Jada's inappropriate affairs, despite not being full-blown, were said to be the cause of her and Will's marriage being forced open, basically so Jada could mess around with other people without catching any of the blame or downfall, so long as Will agreed, of course, which he did, by the way. And this may just be related to his previous statement of him saying he and Jada simply cannot get divorced. At number 5, we have the whole Future IG story mess, where Future made comments on Will and Jada's marriage after Jada opened up about intimacy on one of her Red Table talks to explain how a partner should know what she wants in the bedroom. Future first got involved after online memes started circulating about Will needing to hang out with him, who has a reputation for being involved with multiple women all the time, which implied that Will should learn to be more like Future in that sense. During her RTT, Jada described her partner's need to love her enough to know every part of her, which netizens thought implied Will didn't love her the way she was demanding. Twitter users also took her statements literally, which in turn sparked the whole debate of whether or not she embarrassed Will by saying she'd really bring Future to the Red Table. Charlemagne the God even questioned on his show once if Will was ever jealous of Jada and Tupac's relationship, where Will speaks about being insecure because of their tight bond. At number 4, we have Jada and her top-level narcissism. A user on Quora once described Jada as a histrionic, borderline narcissist, and their opinion on it in short is that Jada provokes Will's touch of feminism nature to bruise his ego. This user even explained why they feel Will has narcissistic tendencies and may even be one himself. They said, when you are involved with a highly narcissistic person, your mind is not your own. Jada said to Will, we're ride or die, bad marriage till the end. I knew then, they're both narcs. Will's masculinity suffered a narcissistic injury when Jada had a fling with a troubled young musician, a friend of her kid. Then Will went on Red Table to discuss it and she emasculated him. Will was triggered in the beginning by her obsession with Tupac. He took all of it out on Chris Rock when Jada gave him that look that triggered him to slap Chris. Chris was an easier target, that's my theory. Now, if we reel back to the public sharing of Willow's letter to Tupac, it made people feel like Jada was super self-absorbed for exploiting her daughter for her own selfish reasons. One YouTuber even commented on a video regarding Jada's behavior with the following: this woman somehow thinks she's a higher power, just out there healing the world, while realistically destroying all those close to her like narcissists do. Big yikes. At number 3, we have Jada's infidelity. Of course, she was out of line by her entanglement with August Alsina, especially because he was her son's friend and most likely vulnerable at the time. Plus, her messy affair with the R&B singer was later revealed by Will to have occurred after he and Jada were already separate. Despite this, Jada admitted to this affair of cheating when she and Will were not together but still married. But how she went about it was weird given what Will confirmed. She first made claims that Will gave his blessing for their affair, but the internet did not agree. It wasn't until Will publicly stepped forward to admit that Jada wasn't the only one being unfaithful that social media decided to ease up, though not by much. Still, people think Will's admission was a way to save face, but also to touch back on the rumors surrounding him and his Focus co-star Margot Robbie engaging in an affair of their own. Will's admission that he didn't give Jada permission to date because they weren't even together means their words, stories, and sides just aren't adding up. Regardless, Will says nothing Jada will do can ever change things for them now that they're open, because these were the terms they came to from the jump. Will and Jada are no longer described as married, but as life partners instead. It's been detailed that Will may just be playing Jada's game because he doesn't want to lose her for good. At number 2, we have one of Hollywood's biggest drama queens. Well, maybe that's a bit of a stretch here, but Jada is known for being one for the dramatics, and that's been noted because of her household full of drama. However, it's also been detailed that both Will and Jada are equally responsible for the drama that occurs in their home. Still, with all of Jada's major backlash every time she speaks, and being labeled as messy and difficult due to her outing intimate details of her relationship to the public with no real remorse for Will's feelings, it's safe to say that the majority of the public is leaning on the side of Jada being the chaos enabler. At number 1, we have Jada's lack of boundaries. This one is a no-brainer, I'm sure, because we all know Jada has a tendency to air it all out, whether it's intentional or not. Jada has been described as someone who overshares too much to the public, and this severely impacts her family. She's not very private about anything, which shows there are no boundaries in her relationships overall. In particular, she has no respect for Will by exposing everything about their relationship, which is just tasteless. And before you say this is unfair, we literally know everything we do know about them now because of Jada. She was the one who admitted to infidelity, which really should have been something Will was warned about before it went public, since Will was clearly caught off guard by the news of August telling the world he gave them permission. She was also the one talking openly about her intimacy once while her mother was present. Jada also constantly speaks so horribly about her marriage in general, so I'm sure you get the point now.
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Forced to Marry Will, with Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith's marriage being the top subject when it comes to scandals over the last year. It's left us all wondering when Jada might just stop, grow up, and stop making jabs at her husband in an attempt to embarrass him any further. When the actress's reaction after the Oscar ceremony in 2022 was to condemn her husband for slapping Chris Rock, the incident led the press to review previously published content around the couple. And a video then re-emerged from 2018, where in it, Jada could be seen stating that she never wanted to get married and she was forced to marry Will because she was pregnant. The video would actually turn out to be an episode from her Red Table Talk podcast, which featured her, Will, their daughter Willow, and Jada's mother. In the interview, Jada would say she was under so much pressure and she didn't know what to do, but her mother forced her to marry Will. Number 9, substance use. Back in 2021, Jada would candidly detail her past issues with substances and alcohol, where she would say that she was a walking miracle after kicking her addictions. During her Red Table Talk, Jada would open up about how she used to combine wine with other forms of substances when she developed a tolerance to solely drinking. She would then go on to say, I wasn't doing things that I thought were addictive, but I would do those 3 together. That was my cocktail. Your threshold becomes so high that what it takes for you to get to the place you need to get to, it will take me 2 bottles to get to, okay? If I do substances with alcohol at the same time, I get there faster and I can keep the feeling going. Jada then said she went cold turkey one day after she had a health scare on the set of the 1996 The Nutty Professor, as she passed out on set and made a total fool of herself. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, comments about the Oscars. Just when the confrontation that happened between Will Smith and Chris Rock had become one of the most discussed topics around the world, a lot of people had their say on the comedian's joke and the actor's decision to respond by slapping the comedian. And if things couldn't get any better, Jada Pinkett Smith then broke her silence on the issue when she chose to write a message on her social media account saying, "This is a season for healing and I'm here for it." Though Jada didn't say anything during the controversial moment, she did, however, make sure she was in the center of it going forward, as she claimed that she hoped Will and Chris could eventually heal and reconcile one day, and that she never forced her husband to slap Chris. Her and Will were moving forward and were going to focus on their lives. But it all just seemed a little too sus, and she shouldn't have said anything, and she should have just more supported her husband through this hard time. Number 7, the controversial podcast. When it comes to the Red Table Talk, it's definitely a one-of-a-kind talk show that features a one-of-a-kind family. While the show was created with good intentions, as the family just wanted to create a safe space where they could talk about some pretty weird topics, the conversations have become real, raw, unfiltered conversations, where not only the family has exposed their darkest secrets, but other celebrities as well. And while the show has gone on to gain quite an impressive fan base, the in-depth conversations have become pretty controversial when it comes to the hot button issues that are discussed, and it has hurt Jada's career to the point she can't even get casted in anything, and she really hasn't worked on anything since her role in the Scream franchise. Number 6, the Matrix controversy. The Matrix Matrix franchise is well known for revolutionizing the cinema world with its stunning visuals and graphics. From the very release of the first movie, The Matrix made an everlasting impact on the souls of the audience, with the franchise being represented well by Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss. Did you know that the hit duo actually could have been represented by celebrity couple Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith? But since Will Smith refused to play the hit character of Neo in the blockbuster franchise, as the actor was in no mood to shoot another Alien movie after Independence Day, Jada Pinkett Smith would fail to be selected for the role, and she blames it on Will, as she didn't have any chemistry with Reeves, which resulted in her to lose the role. So it goes on to show that she just has trouble connecting with other people on set when they aren't her friend or family members. The actress did, however, go on to grab a role in the franchise after she lied about not being pregnant. Number 5. Scientology affiliation. Reports have been stating for years now that Jada Pinkett Smith has had strong ties to the Church of Scientology. Although she has never publicly subscribed to the belief system, many sources have claimed that not only did she once practice Scientology, but she was also heavily involved in it. The information would come to light after a former Scientologist told the Daily Mail that not only was Jada a member, but she was also a recruiter who was paid to lure people into the church. The source also went on to say Jada was always around the celebrity center, doing things her own way with Kelly Preston in the president's office. Tony Ortega, who has extensively covered celebrity involvement in Scientology, also said on his blog, The Underground Bunker, "We have known for years that the dedicated Scientology in the family was Jada Smith." And Jada's alleged connections to Scientology did not stop there. In fact, they only appeared to get stronger over time, as she also went on to open a private school for the church in one of her homes. Number 4. Too full of herself. When the Los Angeles Times caught up with Hubert to ask her to clarify her criticism of Jada, Hubert would claim that Jada and her husband clearly needed to get over themselves when she said, "You ain't all that, you're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers." But that's clearly not how the Smiths see it. Vivica A. Fox once even fought back tears as she spoke about Jada Pinkett Smith's remarks about her husband smacking Will Smith at the Academy Awards in 2022, when the actress said on an episode of Wendy Williams' show that Jada took no accountability for her role in the incident on her Red Table Talk. Fox then went on to explain she believes Jada played a part in the incident when she said, "Will was defending her honor. That's the reason he walked on the stage and slapped, because he felt like his wife had been offended." She then went on to note that because Jada took no accountability, it made her seem so self-righteous and full of herself. Number 3. Bad parenting. So before I get into the bad parenting aspect, I think it's worth mentioning that Will and Jada's kids once freaked out Sony executives to the point they emailed Will about the issues, and he just responded by saying everyone just disses his kids. However, Sony isn't the only ones to question Jada's and Will's parenting, as when Willow was pictured in bed with a 20-year-old man in 2014, it would spark a police investigation. Radar Online would then post an article where they would state the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services were looking into the snap of Willow, who was 13 at the time, that was posted online and then later deleted. Will and Jada were extremely cooperative with officials, but they weren't so happy that their parenting skills were under scrutiny. Jada would then break her silence about the issues and would say that there was nothing wrong with the picture or the situation. Number 2. The affair. It seems like just after the whole world was done talking about Jada's affair with her son's friend August Alsina, it would be brought out again after new details were released to the public earlier this month. As after August watched Chris Rock's Netflix special, he told the Post he thought it was not only funny, but it was also truthful. And that was the best part for him. So when Rock finally went public about his thoughts about being slapped by Will Smith at the 2022 Oscars in his Netflix comedy special Selective Outrage, he would speculate that Smith only smacked him not over his joke about Jada's baldness, but because he was unleashing built-up anger he had over his wife's affair. A source would then confirm that August was happy to see Chris Rock advocating the truth, as everyone has been against him since the whole affair was exposed. And considering Jada downplayed their relationship with her son's friend for 4 years, Will was led to believe that nothing was going on until she embarrassed him on the Red Table Talk, and since Hollywood has been wondering what kind of woman she exactly is, because she's not normal, that's for sure. And coming in number 1 today, we have Not in Demand. After a promising breakout performance as Maureen in the 1997 film Scream 2, Jada's career looked to be heading in the right direction. direction, but then it was stalled in the following years to come after she gained a role in the film Woo. Variety described it as being an unfunny comedy that brought out the worst in just about everybody involved in the film. In years to come, Jada was only able to land supporting roles, but her record with critics has been spotty at best. Despite her best efforts, studios have not been keen on casting her as a leading lady, and the only successful role she's been able to gain a leading role is for her voice work as Gloria on the animated film franchise Madagascar. She even did a really bad job playing Fish Mooney in Fox's DC crime drama Gotham. Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have Toxic. Toxic femininity is usually less obvious than when you compare it to toxic masculinity, because much of it is masked by the display of insincere emotions, with Jada showing a history of passive aggression, backstabbing, display of jealousy, defaming other men or women, and using people to take an unfair advantage. She has been applauded by her bad behavior, as people have labeled her to be empowering. Throughout her marriage, Jada has claimed that she was forced to get married and that she was crying when she had to walk down the aisle at 3 months pregnant with her first child. Within her relationships, the toxic femininity translates to emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse. Her overall behavior has even caused generational damage, and she needs to work on herself and heal her life so her children can understand what a healthy relationship is. Number 9. Clashed with Snoop Dogg. In the wake of Kobe's passing in 2020, Jada Pinkett Smith wasn't afraid to call out Snoop Dogg over his comments towards Gayle King, and in the process she started a difficult conversation about misogyny after King mentioned a woman accused Kobe of unwanted advancements. Snoop then posted a video on his Instagram where he talked about the issues, and in it he insulted King's appearance before telling her, "Back off, B, before we come get you." As a result, Jada brought the rapper on her Red Table talk show to try to clear the air, where she would say, "When you first came out and said what you said, you know, in regards to Gayle, my heart dropped." Jada then explained to her old friend that when he said what he said, she felt hurt on behalf of all women. Snoop did end up apologizing to King after Jada embarrassed him on her show by taking to his Instagram to say, "When you're wrong, you gotta fix it. I was raised way better than that, so I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I used, calling you out of your name and just being disrespectful." But did Jada really have to embarrass him? Because this could have just been a private conversation between friends. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have poor communication. During an episode of the Red Table Talk back in 2018, Will revealed that he had some pretty poor communication with Jada when they got into arguments, as she just likes to raise her voice and curse him out instead of speaking about their issues like normal people. Will then brought up a significant moment that launched their communication when he said that they were playing Pictionary with 20 other people, and this included Will's son Trey from his previous marriage. Will had his son on his lap, and at the time he was only 1 or 2 years old, and Jada cursed him out in front of everyone by saying, "Will, would you shut the F up?" It got so bad that Will even had to bring her into another room to explain to Jada that because of his upbringing, he didn't wish to be in a relationship that involved the use of profanities and violent language. Number 7. Dealing with Tupac. Even decades after his passing, people still have questions about what his relationship was with Jada Pinkett Smith, especially since Jada once said, "When we first met, I was a dealer. That's how we started." The actor then went on to say that something very bad made her leave that life behind. But while she was getting out, she was getting further involved with Tupac, and her relationship turned into a survival moment, as she even once had to bail out the rapper for $100,000. Their friendship still raises eyebrows today, especially since Will Smith admitted to being jealous of the late rapper, as in his mind he was tortured by their connection because Jada loved Pac, and this rendered him to the point he couldn't even be friends with Pac when he was still alive. Number 6. The open marriage. The Smiths have received a lot of scrutiny over their marriage, especially since Jada addressed addressed the rumors surrounding it in 2009 when she told Atlanta's Q100, "I've heard all the things. Their marriage is not real. He's gay, she's gay. They swing." The actor then dismissed the idea that they had anything to prove. Then in an interview later with US Weekly, she would add on to her claims by adding that people are going to think whatever they wanted, and it was too hard to be in a pretend marriage. In recent years, however, they have admitted that they have an unconventional approach to their marriage, as when it comes to their relationships, they have chosen monogamy. On top of that, they've given each other trust and freedom with the belief that everybody has to find their own way, and they do this so their marriage just doesn't feel like a prison. But honestly, it just sounds like this was all Jada's choosing. Number 5. Took herself to the red table. In the aftermath of August Alsina's bombshell interview, Jada would admit that there was some healing that needed to take place, and she tweeted that she would be the subject of her next red table talk. She would then force Will to also make an appearance on the episode to share his side of the story. And he would just take everything in as she lied about being temporarily separated from Will when she had her affair with August. The couple then went on to reveal that they also reunited after August was out of the picture because Will and Jada realized they just couldn't stay away from each other. With the clip going viral quickly, Jada just kept repeating the word entanglement rather than using the word affair, and she quickly became an online target for jokes, as did a picture that supposedly showed Will in tears because this show embarrassed him to a T. Number 4. Stole Will away from his ex-wife. So before Will and Jada actually got married, Will Smith was in a previous relationship with Sherry Fletcher. And apparently before he and his ex-wife split, Jada actually started dating him. She even admitted to being a homewrecker when she said, "Because I did not understand marriage, I did not understand divorce. I probably should have fallen back," but she obviously didn't fall back as she just kept making advancements. During the process, she then became pretty standoffish when it came to his ex-wife over time, and at one point, Will even had to put her in her place over the issue after she had an argument with Fletcher over the phone. Will was not happy with Jada, and Jada would later say his take was that this is my son Trey's mother, and that's not your place. But Jada did make sure she wanted to put Fletcher in her place by making a point that she was the one and Fletcher was not. Number 3. Chris Rock. Before everything happened at the 2022 Oscars, Will and Jada Smith actually had history with Chris Rock, as Jada had been in a full-out feud with the comedian since the 90s, as their beef extends all the way back to 1997 when he took aim at Jada before she got married to Will on his late-night show called The Chris Rock Show. Rock would then begin his roast of Jada when he said, "You know, at the Million Woman March, there were moving speeches from people like Maxine Waters, Winnie Mandela, and here are some inspirational words from the lovely Jada Pinkett." Chris then went on to cut a clip of Jada at the march where she says, "I'm here today because this is an act of power, woman, okay?" She then whittled down a joke where she yelled the lyrics of The Roof is on Fire instead of her speech. He then picked on her again at the 2016 Oscars over her activism. Chris Rock knew something was up with her from the beginning, and that's why a lot of people didn't want to work with her, because she's controversial even when she's trying to do something good. Number 2. Hates woman. Jada's never been afraid to be vocal, especially when it comes to her Red Table talk show. In one episode, the world saw Jada note that she found it difficult to be interested in having relationships with white people, when she addressed that she was biased when it came to white women, especially if they had blonde hair, mostly because of bullying she was subjected to in school. She then went on to say, "I have to admit, I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white woman triggers me. I've had to catch myself." She then went on to address that she realized her own hypocrisy, as she stated that her past didn't give her the right to put all blonde women in the same category, but she was still going to continue doing it anyways. And coming in number 1 today, we have disrespectful. So when a clip resurfaced, it would show Jada Pinkett Smith's underwhelmed reaction to a surprise birthday party Will Smith planned for 3 years, and the video would have the internet divided. When Jada's 37th birthday was over, Will took it upon himself to throw an extravagant birthday for her 40th birthday party. But when that date finally hit, things didn't go as well as Will was expecting things to go. In fact, her reaction was not ideal, and it made Will hit a low point in his life. Jada then ripped Will apart later on her Red Table talk show when she told the actor she was going through a midlife crisis, and she thought his gesture was just a ridiculous display of his ego. She felt like the party just wasn't for her. Everyone felt like Jada's response was rude and disrespectful, as he treated her like a queen and she really just ended up treating him like a peasant.